Hello! It's Sanrio's birthday. So, I did one of these before, but I found the Karumi one. And Karumi is my favorite Sanrio. Also, I'm gonna be honest, this one looks like it's going to be far more able to be actually used than the Gutentama one. Because the Gutentama one has, well, Gutentama is laying in the middle of it, which means that you can't exactly put things in it very well without it being a problem. Or without, like, accidentally messing up the paint. I did put a clear coat on that one, and I'm going to on this one too. But the Gutentama one was actually very good, so I'm looking forward to this one as well. Give me the Karumi paper. I did not want the Gutentama one, but I do want the Karumi paper. I am certain I can use it for something. Give me the Karumi paper. Yes. I have obtained it. Anyway. Doodles. It comes with all of the things. Or at least all of the basic things. Your doodly-doo and your paints and your paintbrush. That is probably garbage. Yeah. I just realized that I'm dumb and I forgot to grab water and also some extra paintbrushes, so I will be right back after I do that. I'm back. I grabbed the things. Excuse me. So I grabbed a smaller little detail-y brush, a less small but still small little wide brush that has a loose hair that I must remove. Hold on. There we go. And an angly brush. And these combined with the one that they gave us should be plenty. The one that they gave us, at least in the Gutentama one, was actually not horrible. It was slightly better quality than most of the dollar store paintbrushes that you normally get. There we go. Alright. To the other camera. Also, this is what it looks like. Not that it matters much, you're going to be seeing it on the other camera. Alright, and here she is. Obviously, I added a lot more shading than what it shows on the thing, and I kind of did my own thing. But I think she turned out swell. I'm going to let her dry, and I'm going to apply clear coats after she's dry. I'm going to go ahead and give this one the same verdict that I did the Gutentama one, which is, hey, get it. This thing is really fun. It killed about a half hour of time, so it doesn't take a huge amount of time. Honestly, if you're a child and you're only doing the bare minimum, it's probably going to take you less time. This camera blows everything out of proportion, and it's annoying. But, yeah. I also did the same thing I did to the Gutentama one, and, like, painted down the edges a little bit, so that when you are looking at it from the top, you can't really see the white on the bottom as much. Obviously, I used purple instead of black to do that. They give you plenty of paint, like they do with the Gutentama one. So, if you want to do something else, you can keep the paint and do something else with it. As you saw, I used the paintbrush that they provided almost exclusively. The only thing that I would honestly suggest they do with this kit is add another paintbrush, so that you have one thick one and one thin one, because that would make it so that I didn't have to use any of my own materials. But also, paintbrushes are cheap at the dollar store, and you're already at the dollar store. So, like, you can just pick up more paintbrushes if you really want. But yeah, I like her. And honestly, this, like I said, I think is better than the Gutentama one. And I happen to have the Gutentama one right here. But the problem with the Gutentama one is that Gutentama is a raised feature in the middle of it. You can kind of see it if I do this. He's raised up compared to the inside, which means that you have less places that you can actually put stuff in this tray. Because otherwise there's no, you risk accidentally screwing up Gutentama. Whereas in this case, because she's able to be done completely flatly, you don't have to worry about accidentally messing anything up. Especially after you get the clear coat on. Which, I mean, I guess that's the other thing that I would suggest adding to it, is some kind of clear coat that you can add to the top of it after you're done, so you don't mess up the paint. But I suppose since this is for children, and a lot of clear coats are a little bit not great for children to be messing with, maybe that's why. But, like, you could just as easily include, like, a clear nail polish that you can put over the top of it, and it would do essentially the same thing as a clear coat. And they make non-toxic clear nail polishes. I feel like I'm being a slightly more, I guess, negative about this one. And I think that's because after doing 2 of them, I've noticed a little bit more things. The paint is exactly what you would expect it to be for a dollar store kit. And by that I mean it's milky and requires several layers to go over it. The advantage is that all of these are white, and all of these are made out of like a ceramic kind of thing, which means that they are good at absorbing the paint, which means that it usually only takes a couple of coats. So I think I only had to do like 3 coats of the purple. And obviously you will just see how many coats I did in the thing. I could have done less coats of the pink by simply not painting that area, but I'm lazy. And I also wanted the pink to not be as ridiculously and obnoxiously bright, because usually that spot is either a dark pink or a light purple. So I kind of wanted to make sure that it wasn't as fully bright pink. You can kind of see the difference even with the nose compared to the skull. But yeah. All in all, this is a great kit, and it's only $5, and it does actually come with everything you need if you don't want to, like, I guess preserve it better, which is all that the clear coat does. And if you don't mind, like, having some of the details be smudgy by using the thing, and even then, technically, if you really wanted to, you could use the back of the paintbrush and use that as the dotting tool for the, like, little tiny spots. I just didn't do that because I already own other paintbrushes. And that seemed a little redundant. The only slightly confusing bit, I think, is this little tiny section here, which is supposed to be like, hey, you can see a little bit of her tail on the back. I feel like it would be better if they just didn't include that, honestly. Because, like, and here's a good example. This is essentially in the same pose, right? You don't see the tail from the front because her tail is not usually that long. Meaning you could have just as easily done the same thing and not included the bit of the tail. Or if they wanted to make it really cool, and this is just a completely kind of separate idea, and I doubt they would be able to do this and still keep it as cheap as they did. But because they're, like, toting this as, like, a jewelry tray, they could have made the tail actually come up. Like, maybe it's sticking up out of here, and then that could have been, like, a place to put rings. Kind of like this, where it's a little mouse, and then the tail comes up, and then you put rings on the little mouse. There we go. They could have done something similar with that, where it's the tail comes up and then you can put rings on the tail. That would have been the way that I would have included a tail if they were, like, desperate to include the tail on this. You just have the tail, like, come up a little bit, like she's holding it around herself. Anyway, my job is to be more critical than I should be, I guess. I did enjoy this. Honestly, for $5, if you are a Sanrio fan, get it. It's like a 30-minute activity that will keep you distracted for a while. And honestly, it could be more or less time depending on how much detail you decide you want to put in. Yeah. Ending photos will be up. Toodaloo.